Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Sons and Shadows podcast. I am your host, Jeff, who is working with a little bit of a hoarse voice this week, so I apologize in advance, but I am joined as always by Kevin. We are covering 2010's Fox TV show Human Target. This is something that Kevin brought to my attention, and I was pretty eager to check it out. So, Kevin, tell me about this show.
This show rocks, and I was like really crossing my fingers that you were going to think the same thing, because I've been selling the shit out of this show to you for the last year at least.
Yes, you have. And what did I tell you? Damn you, Kevin. And you're like, oh, you probably wondered what the hell I was talking about, because we do text when we're watching this show a little bit. And I'm like, damn you. And he's like, oh no, what? It's like this fucking show. And I had to explain, like, I like the show, so god damn it.
And we'll get to it as we go along. There are opinions about season 2 that differ from season 1, so we won't get any further ahead than season 1 tonight or today, whenever you're listening, people.
Exactly. We are only covering season 1 this round. Season 2 is coming up in 2 weeks.
Yeah. Season 1 is an absolute thrill ride. And of course, I remember every moment of that because we just watched it. I've seen season 1 at least twice before. So this might be my third or fourth viewing. Season 2, I don't think I've seen but more than its original air date because, of course, you can't find it anywhere.
Yeah, that was my big problem when we were talking about this show. Is like, well, there's 2 seasons. How are we going to be able to cover the thing? If it's more than like 3 or 4, we're going to end up breaking those up very differently going forward. But as far as like this show is like, there's only 2 seasons. We can definitely squeeze this in a month. And I had to ask Kevin, where the hell is this fucking show? It's not on DVD. It's not on Blu-ray. It's not streaming anywhere. It's a fucking Fox show, but it was also made by Warner Brothers. So I don't really know who has the fucking rights to whether they put this out on DVD, even in another country. Can't find it anywhere. You can't even quote unquote go across the 7 seas pirating this bad boy. It's fucking nowhere.
The code is more what you'd call guidelines than actual rules.
Oh, come on now. The East Indian Trading Company did us pretty well so far.
You can't see it because we're not doing the video this round, but I'm winking at Kevin.
Reminds me of King Roland from Spaceballs. My cousin got me a very good deal. Starts winking. Anyway, yes, spoiler alert, family. We have season 2 of Human Target. Most people don't have that. So we're going to have a comprehensive review, not a, well, I think I remember that, but enough about well, screw it. I'm going to gush about this show if I'm allowed to talk. I want to know what you thought about it. This was your first watch through. What did you think? Did it get you going from the get-go?
Oh yeah, this got me. I want to say within about the first 20 minutes of the pilot episode, I'm thinking, hey, this is a pretty fun show. I really like Mark Valley. I've watched him in, I know, soap opera. I don't give a shit. Days of Our Lives. I've seen him in the TV show Brimstone in 2 episodes. He was fantastic in that. Dude has a great presence and charisma to him. So I was immediately on board. I'm like, how is he going to play a kind of a badass though? Because I know enough about this show that I've seen like commercials for this show years ago. I just never actually saw any of it. And it's like, oh, I know that guy from Days of Our Lives and Brimstone. And sitting down and watching it this time, I had an absolute blast. Didn't even take me a full episode before I'm thinking, I really like this show. By about 5 episodes in, I was absolutely in love with this show and thought it was awesome. I love like the opening. I'm going to go across like some bullet points super quick so Kevin can take over so I can conserve my voice a little bit.
Are you crazy? Am I crazy? I'm assuming that was a rhetorical question.
Oh, yeah.
But quick and easy, the theme song's fucking awesome. The cast is fucking fantastic. The chemistry across everybody from Jackie Earle Haley all the way to Chi to Mark Valley, fucking brilliant. That's what sells this show is the chemistry these guys have. is absolutely off the chain. Awesome. Love it. There's cameos galore. Writing's top notch. And don't worry, I'm going to talk through this episode, but like immediately, like what's awesome about this show? Everything about this show is awesome, except for a couple of episodes I wasn't the biggest fan of. And it's because of who some of their guest stars were, and some of the writing for some of these guest stars did not exactly work for me. And I don't feel like the chemistry jived with the main cast. That's about it, though. You're talking maybe 2 episodes and a couple characters that I didn't think fit. Otherwise, I love this show. Love the music, the special effects, the stunt work. I know in the span of like 3 minutes, I just spoiled our whole episode. But I'm being frank with everybody listening to this fucking podcast. This show is fucking awesome, and I cannot believe I missed this show years ago. I'm beyond surprised that I fell in love with a show like this. I love this fucking show. It reminds me of the goddamn A-Team from the 80s, but with like a smaller cast and a better budget. Like, this shit is fucking awesome.
The explosions, the stunt work, the fight scenes, it was all top notch. Even the visual effects, much better than Deep Rising.
Oh, fuck you. It was better than all the Marvel shit on Disney Plus. Like, this shit makes Echo look like some kindergartner decided to design a fight scene for choreography in their gym class.
Isn't that kind of what happened? Like, they flat out said, hey, look, we're going to use Getty Images for Spider-Man.
Yeah, we use flashcards, so she doesn't know how to use sign language and mouth her words, because nobody does that. Anyway.
Oh, okay. Now I got to go watch that, but that's a 0 point. And it's a different company. This is DC. DC.
Well, that was something I was going to actually ask you about. Is like, when I first saw the logo, I didn't realize this was a DC property. And on some of the research I saw, it was actually pretty interesting that this is just a loose adaptation, and that they've tried to adapt this once years ago. And I saw that there was like a pilot for the previous version of this show on YouTube that I still want to check out before we get into season 2. So I'm pretty excited to check out like an older version and attempt to make this a fucking show. But I was going to ask you about the DC, like, was this a good DC comic? I'm not the comic guy, you are, so I don't know.
Okay, so I have 0 recollection whatsoever of Human Target. I don't even know if this was like a Vertigo type series. The person who got a season 2 is a huge fan. And
I'm going to call him Secret Agent Steve going forward, by the way.
Secret Agent Steve. It's funny because it's true.
You're welcome, Steve.
At some point, people are going to be like, wait, they got Kevin Smith and Steve Martin on a podcast, but I don't hear it's Kevin Smith or Steve Martin.
Kayfabe, Kevin. Kayfabe.
Anyway, I just totally lost myself with season 2. The special effects, everything. The comic book. Thank you. I don't know. From what I understand, Chance is basically he makes himself look like the target and assumes their identity. So basically he is the actual human target, not just jumping in front of the bullet, but actually being the person that they're shooting at. I like this better. I mean, I without having read any of that, I like this concept better.
Yeah, not having read like any of it, not even knowing it, going into this with like fresh eyes. It's like, this is good. And I appreciate all the Vancouver actors that appeared in this show, because a lot of them were from Stargate SG-1, Stargate Atlantis, Battlestar Galactica from around that time. And you even had some big names like Danny Glover showing up for like a fucking 1-minute thing at the very end of an episode. And I'm like, okay, I am so sold. You got fucking Danny Glover in this shit? Yes.
You're really missing something here. Smooth, good finish. Never even known this stuff burns like jet fuel.
You crazy?
Let's find out.
That was an awesome scene. Like, I remember seeing that and my jaw dropping, going, no fucking way. And what's awesome is later the producers, one of the producers would do the Lethal Weapon TV series, which Danny was never a part of.
No.
But it is always great to see someone of his caliber, especially someone that's been in such high octane action flicks as Lethal Weapon. Almost the high octane action flick.
Well, and he has a certain way of saying, "You're crazy."
Yeah, right. Like, he has that level of comparison. He's got Riggs. Also named Martin. Ooh, we're gonna be on the people are gonna have to like take a drinking game. Like, anytime we say Martin, they're gonna have to take a shot.
Quit
Anyway.
saying Martin. They're going to be drunk before we even get to the meat of this episode.
I am so sorry. I don't even remember what episode Martin is in. Anyway, it wasn't called Martin. I have Martin highlighted somewhere because I like the actor who was in it. Anyway, we just lost a listener. Pump him, stomach pump him, stomach pump him. So back to this.
Glover was in the pilot episode, Kevin.
Who was?
Danny Glover was in episode number 1.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about the old 1992 one.
No.
I was going to say that would have been interesting. I will actually go look at that then. Yes, he was at the end of this, and it was funny as shit because at the beginning of the episode, Chance is arguing with Winston that the payment that they received wasn't money, but it was like this $900 bottle of Japanese not whiskey.
I would have drank that shit. I like my whiskey.
And I think he does. He does get like one quick taste out of it.
Yeah.
And he turns it into a Molotov cocktail and throws it at the people that are trying to shoot Danny Glover. And it's hysterical because you go through this whole fight at the beginning with him and his boss about how awesome it is. And he just uses it as a firebomb. It was fun. I love it. The pilot episode wasn't just kind of like, oh, hey, this is kind of what we're doing. Let's see if we can sell it to the company. It was like a bold statement that this is what our show is going to be like for the rest of the series. Not just the season. The rest of the series is explosive, actiony, funny, thrilling, dope as shit. However, most of the Fox board, from what I gather, most of the Fox board didn't like the show because it wasn't making enough money or wasn't getting the ratings that they wanted, but there was powerful enough people that did like it, that did have the faith in it, that gave them the next 13 episodes.
Yeah.
And I don't believe that it panned out in that executive's favor, unfortunately. And of course it was canceled during the second season, which is truly unfortunate because, to Jeff's point, there are very few TV shows that have a cast that works so well together. You can't say that Mark is supposed to be the star of the show. The show is supposed to be about the adventures of Christopher Chance, but Christopher Chance isn't just one person anymore. It's now 3, almost 4 people. And it's almost a family type thing too. Like in a weird cop hitman sort of way, they're a family, but they have just the most magnificent chemistry together on screen, and the characters are amazing. They're engaging as shit, and I don't think anyone but these 3 actors could have like pulled out exactly what these characters were or who they were.
Yeah.
I know that there's been another Christopher Chance after Mark when it came to Legends of Tomorrow. I don't know why they got somebody else, because I know he'd been working with the CW before. Oh wait, it was because he'd already played somebody else in Arrow, I think.
Oh, really?
I think so, yes.
Huh.
But yeah, they recasted Christopher Chance in the CW, which is nice that he's on there. They didn't recast Constantine, of course. It was nice to see that they were still giving respect to the character, but this is a show that, golly, just could have existed as a movie. These guys could have had their own movie and carried it. It would have been a cult classic.
Yeah, I could absolutely see that. Like, there's enough with the espionage going on, the mystery behind his past, his love interests, like what happened with Catherine that led him down this path, and working with his old boss and dealing with his old boss and his new bosses. Like, there's enough meat on this bone. You could absolutely get into a full length feature film, and at times the production values were on par with it. Like, some of the explosion work, the visual effects work was like really good. Sometimes just the visual effects work was not so great. And you can kind of tell, like, oh, that's totally CGI, but you're in the meat of the episode. You're not paying too much attention because it's so fast moving. When you get to those special effects scenes, they're not having long dialogue scenes. It's all action straight up. And so they don't linger too long on those shots. So, to the show's credit, they got to those shots and they got out of them so that they could focus on everything else. They wanted you to focus on the action, they wanted you to focus on the fights, they wanted you to focus on the ultimate goal of the episode of whoever he was trying to save, rescue, whatever. Every episode had a very strong purpose, had a very strong plot. My favorite parts of this show are when we jump in the middle of the story or towards the end of the story, and most of the episode is told filling in the blanks of how they got to that part. Not all episodes are like that. They actually jump in at various points. So it never feels like they're taking a formula and they keep messing with the formula, but in a good way. So you might get the same story like 6, 7 times through these 12 episodes, but they're told in different ways, yet similar ways.
Yeah.
Like 6 hours earlier or 3 weeks earlier, this, that, or whatever. And then it intermingles with itself to tell the story. And it feels like that's how a comic book would do it as well. I've seen movies and other shows try and do this to varying degrees of success. That really worked for this show, so that when they told a straightforward beginning to end without jumping in the middle, it felt like maybe I need to pay attention to this one in particular. And I really think that played to the strength of the writers and the writing staff. And I got to give absolute credit to Jonathan Steinberg that, dude, you show ran the hell out of this first season. You were on point. Absolutely. Like, you had this dialed into a T. While I may or may not like a couple of things later on, ultimately this first season is a success, and it shows the strength of Jonathan to be able to pull together a great writing staff and play to the strengths of the actors and the story that they were trying to tell with each episode while telling the overall story. So you got multiple subplots, multiple different characters doing different things. Guerrero was like the big wild card for me. I still don't know if I like him or not. He's such a twisted little shit, but ultimately I think he's,
Thanks, dude.
don't spoil it. I haven't seen second season yet, but like I have a feeling like he's on board with Chance all the way, and he's trying to figure out exactly what's going on himself, because he jumped ship too from the boss. He's kind of doing his own little missions and things, but at the beginning it made you wonder, this dude's a fucking little snitch, can't be trusted, total snake. But by the end of the season, some of the actions he has done show that he's there to support Chance for whatever reason that may be. But you also get little hints about his life. And I feel like building towards the second season, that we're going to get more into that, because that final episode was basically the whole backstory of what led them to the very beginning of this show and how they all came together. And most of the time, I hate seeing that as a later episode in a season. It's like, if you had the story to begin with, you should have told it in the first fucking episode. But oddly, it worked here. And it left on a really good cliffhanger, or horrible cliffhanger, depending on your viewpoint as a fan or audience, whatever. But it made you want more. And we needed to see what's happening to fucking Winston, which is absolutely tremendous, because what the fuck is going on?
I don't want to spoil it for you or for the people listening at home,
Good.
but they freeze Winston in carbonite and take him back to Jabba.
Are we gonna get a slave Catherine? Just saying, the bikini would rock.
I do have written in my notes, this is very much an Empire Strikes Back type ending. And I don't mean that in like, oh, hey, they're ripping off Empire. I mean, it has that same majesty about it. It has that same vibe of like, oh, sure, we won, but at what cost? Like, what did we really win? And Guerrero kind of like gives hints of that throughout different episodes. Like, don't be happy. Shit's getting real. And you don't see that until like that very last moment where it's like, are they, what's going to happen? Are they going to go get him? Is he okay? What's Guerrero going to do without his fucking buddy to poke or to push around? You know, it's little questions like that. And then big questions like, is he alive? Yes, he is, but that's a given.
Well, yeah, he's leading them somewhere for the MacGuffin of the show, so to speak, at that point.
The MacGuffin. Yes, because you're supposed to be wondering if they would have filmed that trope any other way, like had that origin story previously, it wouldn't, like the mystique throughout the rest of the show wouldn't have worked. Like they gave you Catherine's name towards the beginning, but you don't really find out much else about it until like sprinkles later on. And then, yes, finally all at last at that last episode, which you have to kind of remind yourself, don't get emotionally invested. She doesn't make it.
So you think. I saw how they did that in this show, and I'm like, okay, is she really dead, or is she really kidnapped in somewhere else, or is she in hiding and she's been a spy the entire time? Until you see them blow up directly on screen, you can never trust off-screen kills. You just can't. It plays that way in comics. It plays that way in video games, movies, TV shows. It's just the way it goes. And what I want to say is, like, this show did something that was John Wick before John Wick. And Kevin,
Yes.
do you know what I'm talking about with the little puppy?
I mean, ultimate cuteness with Carmine.
Well, Carmine was left to Mr. Chance, and he took care of Carmine for in honor of his past love with Catherine.
Oh, that's right.
Because when they introduced the puppy, I'm like, so that's how he got the fucking dog. And the dog is super cute. I totally love it, even though he's total non-action packed dog. When they storm the place at the end, and he's just like laying on the ground, looking up, like, "What's up, guys?" And then Chance beats up everybody, pointing their gun at the dog, and he's like, "You were a big help. Thank you so much."
Don't get up, please.
Yeah, don't get up or nothing. You might strain yourself, dog. But then when the dog sees his former boss, Senior, I'm gonna call him Senior, the dog starts actually growling and getting mad. It's like, oh, so you're gonna get mad at that fucking dude instead of the bad guys with guns. That was funny.
Well, Senior, the old man, was a special kind of douche on screen and off screen.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to speak ill. He's a phenomenal actor, and he had his problems, but Armandus,
namely Judge Dredd.
No, see, I liked him in Judge Dredd. His monologue was fucking dope. That was it, but the monologue was dope.
The law.
Yeah, that was a bit over the top, but the movie was stupidly over the top. His, you know, you want fear? I'm fear. You want chaos? I'm chaos. I liked that part. That was the only part of the movie.
Well, I liked how
really
realistic he was played a little bit more in this particular show than he was in that Stallone movie. So,
yes, yeah, very much so.
Yeah.
He was a little bit more like Bill from Kill Bill in this. You do see a bit of that in this show.
Oh, I'd agree.
Not as campy and stupid either. This is This is actually much more realistic as far as it being a private security business with people with questionable pasts, but good hearts.
A mercenary with a heart of gold.
I prefer death retardant specialist.
And
Or somewhat good hearts.
yeah, somewhat good hearts. Open pocketbooks and willingness to do a good deed here and there. Sometimes for fun, sometimes for free, sometimes not. Guerrero, Winston doesn't want anything to do with Guerrero at all. Least of all, him being associated with the business. And he calls him an animal because of all the sadistic things that he's done to people.
Like eating the food out of his fridge that has his name on it, going into his computer, acting like he owns the place. Yeah, he's a total animal. You don't find out till later on that how well Guerrero can handle himself. He just is not on the level of Christopher Chance.
Yeah, he doesn't. He could certainly destroy anyone that he needs to, just not several people all at once. Like, he flat out tells you, I'll take the beating, but then I'm going to come after you later on, and I'm going to start with your wife, and says her name, and then maybe the kids after that. And just totally freaks out these two gorillas that were supposed to be, breaking his thumbs and shit out in the alleys, and then goes back to eating his breakfast. And that first shot that you have of Guerrero there, that made me happy. And then when he sees Winston and says, "Oh, hey, dude, I felt seen," I'm like, "Oh, Jackie speaks my speak." Because people at home, if you haven't listened to me enough, I say dude a lot, and everyone is dude. And depending upon the tone, varies upon what you've done or how much I do or do not respect.
Yeah, I say dude a lot too, and different inflections on it. So. I've called my wife dude many years ago. She's like, "Could you stop calling me dude, please?" It's like, what? I call everybody dude.
During sex, though, I mean...
Damn!
Yes, I do. I call everyone dude during sex.
Hey, the board keeps getting waxed. Who am I to complain?
Ouch. Oh, goodness.
I'm kidding, everybody. Jesus.
But what I would
Kevin's
love to know... No, I'm not. Sorry, I'm a naughty son of a bitch, and I think it's funny. What I would love to know is if Guerrero was that sincere, just a dude type person in the comics, or if that's just what Jackie brought to the table. Because I know Jackie likes to surf, and he is a very cool dude to follow on Facebook and Twitter.
Oh, I should get on the follow train then.
You should, yes. He is a lot of fun. So I don't know if the hey dude, if that was just something that he brought. Because again, I'm from the same area, you're from the same area, and yeah, that is just kind of our vocabulary.
That's right, dude.
But with
Jackie, he jumped right into the character exceedingly well. Everybody felt like they just, "Oh, hey, this is my character. All right, I'm gonna have some fun with this shit." Like him, Mark, Chi, they all look like, yeah, I could do this shit. Especially Chi, who's, I feel bad for the guy to a point, but also he's had career work doing the same roles in many different shows. Like, some are a little more rougher than others, but he's some sort of a cop. He's also got like his particular delivery. He gets a little typecast, but for this, it looked like, you know what? I get a little more physical. I get to do a little more than I usually do. You know what? I'm on board. Let's fucking go.
And he got good monologues too. Like, he got to give the speeches about, you don't have to be that person anymore. No one deserves to die. And gives people a chance to, like DDP says, okay, that happened to you, or that just happened. What are you going to do with that tomorrow? And Winston's got a lot of insight. He brings the insight to the show. And you're right. Chi brings that and is that character, the cop, in a lot of different things. But I think this was the best. This was the most realistic. This was the role that let him be the most human, as opposed to what I absolutely loved. And I'm so sorry. Undercover Brother. He plays the chief. And when Undercover Brother first gets brought to their secret base, Chi McBride comes fucking storming out of his office going, "Is that goddamn Undercover Brother?" And he just gets up right in his face. He's like, "Motherfucker, give me one goddamn reason why I shouldn't fucking fire you right goddamn now." And Eddie Griffin's like, "Because I don't work for you? Shut the fuck up."
You done fucked up now, boy. Kevin sent me a clip asking if I had ever seen Undercover Brother, and I'm like, I saw that day one in the movie theater years ago. Of course I've seen that movie. I just forgot that Chi McBride was in it.
Why shouldn't I fire your ass right now?
That's going to be a quote from now on this show. Why don't I fire your ass right now?
Because I don't work for you.
Well, I'm going to hire you just so I can fire you.
Yeah, like I like terribly silly movies and fun movies. So yeah, Undercover Brother is one of them. Pootie Tang would be another one of them. Fucking just don't give me that look. It's fucking hysterical.
Oh, I was just thinking, like, I'm actually surprised it never got a sequel. But then again, I'm also surprised this show didn't get renewed and get a chance to course correct and whatever. I'm willing to wait to see season 2, see how I feel. But I am aware of some of the changes that were made, and I'll see. I have an open mind. I'm willing to go in, but judging season 1 as is, this is top shelf stuff, everybody.
Yes, for me personally, action shows don't get any better than this. Terminator was pretty fantastic. This is a step above Terminator, I think.
Without going too sci-fi.
Yes. Yeah, without going too sci-fi at all. It's actually quite realistic. And like you said,
about 80% of the time, yeah.
80% of the time. Fair enough.
The bullet train to start with, the toxin in a mine shaft is a bit of an older trope.
The leaky barrels, in fact.
I was like, hey, are we gonna get some zombies up in here?
Kinda right. Well, and see, yeah, like the mine trope is a trope that's in every series that we've done just about. Even My Bloody Valentine, like I was really waiting for them to be like, and if they ever went to the dance again, like the mine would explode. But the mining episode on this one wasn't so bad, albeit yes.
That's actually one I take issue with, and it's only because of the female doctor in the show. She had no chemistry with Mark at all.
Oh,
they kept trying to do the we just jumped off a cliff and into cold water. We need to huddle up and maintain body heat, and trying to do the eye contact on there's an attraction here. I felt none of that between those two. I'm like, they're trying, but I think the girl they cast was, they looked like they would be cute together, but it didn't work. It just didn't work. I think they miscast that role.
Maybe, which is funny because like Mark's really good at having chemistry with just about everybody. Like
I would have brought in Krista Allen from Days of Our Lives just for a throwback. Just saying.
I feel like a horrible fan. Who was Mark in Days? Like, when was this? Was this after I stopped watching?
He was Jack Devereaux, if I remember correctly.
Wait, what? Patch? Really?
I think so. Let me look him up.
Well, yeah, I mean, now I'm doing that myself.
Riveting podcasting, Kevin.
I know.
Looking him up. But he was also very big in like Boston Legal. I remember that too. But
Jack Devereaux, no shit. He was Patch.
Yeah.
Huh? The second one.
Yeah, he was not the first one. I
Yeah.
remember that.
That's cool as shit. Now I feel like a really bad fan. Like, oh shit, I knew you before that.
Technically, he. Okay, take Wikipedia for as trustworthy as you want, but literally, they call him Jack Devereaux number 4 on the credits for Days of Our Lives.
I don't know about that. I'm pretty sure he was the second. I
Don't know.
thought there
That's
was
just
only...
what they did on Wiki, so take that as you will. But that's what he's credited as on Wikipedia, anyway.
Oh, speaking of which, there's only like 3 entries on the Did You Knows for Internet Movie Database, and the first or second one, I think it is, talks about how Guerrero doesn't actually do any fighting because he's so smart, he knows how to get out of it. There's an edit towards the end that says, "Oh wait, he actually does a very great deal of fighting throughout the entire series. Go back and watch." And you're like, okay. Maybe you should just like retype what you just did because it sucks."
I
And
would
it's
say
not-
he fights in very different ways. He fights dirty, cheap, and with minimal effort. When he's forced to actually have a physical fight, he steps up and he can take care of himself just fine. He's actually a really good sniper shot too.
Yes, he fights effectively. There's no honor in fighting. You just need to fucking win fast and go on to the next thing. And that's one of the fun things about Guerrero is he's very curt and very impatient because he's always up against the clock for something. And then again, he'll also do like completely normal things and freak out because he can't figure out how an EMT from New York can land the Princess of Wales.
I don't think he was trying to land her though. She was taken by a EMT named Tony.
But it was so funny because he couldn't get past. Like, nah, he's got to be in a band. He's got to be in a band.
Well, yeah, and I loved his comment to fucking Winston of, "I know how this goes. I've done this before. I almost had my chance," or but a princess almost had a chance with me, and it just timing didn't work out. And he's just looking at him like, "You fucking lying sack of shit." And he's like, "No, just ask Chance when he gets back." "Oh, Chance is at the wedding." "No, he's not at the wedding." And Winston's just like, "What the fuck?" And then he shows him like the ticket, the passport are still there. Well, where the fuck is he? Well, when Chance gets back from wherever he's at, he'll confirm this. He was there. It's like, oh no, an African princess you almost scored with.
Guerrero is he's the best to me. I love him. Jackie's done so many wonderful characters, and I think Guerrero is my favorite of his.
Yeah.
I hate that he gets so much shit online for Nightmare on Elm Street.
That was not his fucking fault. Any fan will tell you him being cast as that was not his fault. What was wrong with that movie was the fucking script and the idiot director who thought, "Oh, hey, let's try and have Jackie act like this." No, Jackie's fucking fine. It was not his fault what happened with that fucking movie. That was just a bad idea. They shouldn't have done that the way they did. They need a more involvement from Robert Englund. Don't give me this, "Oh, it's Wes Craven's baby. It's his call." No. You have Robert Englund as a consultant on it. He's on record saying, "I just would have been happy to have been involved." And he even likes Jackie performance as Freddy Krueger. So what more can you say? Like, that was not Jackie's fault. And this movie, along with like Watchmen, show how good Jackie Earl Haley fucking is. And I've been watching his ass since fucking Bad News Bears. So fuck that shit about him being a horrible actor. Dude,
no,
he's good, and he gets too much shit from the, I wouldn't say from the horror community, but from like these Nightmare on Elm Street purists. Like, focus your anger at the right direction, not him. Not his fault.
Despite my loathing for William Shatner,
Jeff Rant, I know, but whatever.
Get a life, people.
Okay.
Oh, anyway. No, he I really liked what he brought to that movie. The movie itself was not good. Everything you just said is correct, but again, I really liked him. I liked how he portrayed Freddy. Watchmen is fantastic, like you said. God damn, I just had something else in my head where it's like, no, this is awesome though. And it just popped again right out of my head. Shitty fan. It's because we're 0 pointing.
Wrong show, Kevin.
I know. And it's not Watchmen. It's not.
Are you thinking about one of his TV shows or movies or something?
Yeah, and I can't think of what the hell it is. There's one that just like really stands out.
Was it
Clearly.
like Dollman, Nemesis, Maniac Cop? I mean, Jackie's been in a few things.
He's been in a couple things. I mean, here and there. Oh, wait, did I say he's the only reason to watch fucking the new RoboCop movie? Just throwing that
Oh
out
yeah,
there.
he was what was his name? Rick something or other?
I can't remember his name.
God, how do I even know that much? Holy shit.
Because we just
Well, and he was in Alita Battle Angel, which Robert Rodriguez directed off of James Cameron.
cool.
And that's a decent movie. I don't think I remember him from much else beyond that, though.
I do, and my mind just went completely blank. I feel absolutely dumb, which I know everyone's like, surprise, he feels dumb.
Well, I do know he was in the Preacher TV show, but I wasn't really a big fan of that, so I never watched more than like 2 episodes. Oh, he was the Tick. He was the terror in the Tick.
Oh, that's right.
What do you think? Is it the good kind of bad or bad kind of bad?
The terror.
I pulled up his filmography. It's like, oh shit, okay.
The Terror was fantastic. Like I longtime fan of the Tick. So to see him play the Terror was just, what's the word that our parents used to use? It was boffo. It was the bee's knees.
Well, and make sure you're staying subscribed to our podcast. We will be covering the Tick this year, so stay tuned for that one.
We're not going to stop this show until they bring that show fucking back.
That was along with this show, canceling the Tick was Amazon Prime. Fuck them. There was nothing wrong with the show. And don't give me this, oh, it wasn't streaming enough. No, that wasn't the problem. They didn't want to pay for it.
Yeah.
And it wasn't that expensive either. So fuck that too. And fuck Amazon Prime. Go make your Rings of Pussy Power or whatever shit you're putting on now. I ain't having it with these fucking streamers no more.
The streamers have all jumped the shark on themselves, which is amazing.
I ain't gonna lie and say there ain't things that I like, but when they cancel good shit, it's like, yo, you're gonna get called out for that too. You put out bad shit, you're gonna get called out. You put out good shit, you're gonna get called out for that too, because awesome to put out good shit. But
Well,
you cancel something like the fucking Tick, which was not that expensive. Like, okay, that's bullshit. You could have given it one more season to let it wrap up its fucking loose ends, even if it was a 6-episode series. Same thing for Human Target. All you had to do is give Human Target, hey, we can't do another 12 or 13, but we'll give you 6. Can you wrap up your storylines? Okay, cool. Let's fucking go.
yes, that option should have been given to them. Very much so. It was not. It was not.
Clearly.
This, God, I really wish I knew more about why this happened. I don't know what the viewership was for this, obviously, but I do know that its quality is it's unrivaled for anything else out at the time. This was an exciting show. This was a fun show. This was a show that you wanted to be home to watch every night that it was supposed to be on. You keep going back to A-Team. It was always a special thing, like, oh shit, A-Team's on. You got to be there for the theme, and then everything else. This is very much in the same vein. I don't know why they were like, you know what, people aren't liking this. Send it away. I mean, was Was it too costly? All the explosions and shit?
I wouldn't think so, but I'm looking at the ratings from around that time. The first season averaged pretty decent, I want to say. The pilot had 10 million viewers. So did the second. It did drop. Looks like the lowest it ever got was 7.24, which these days nothing is getting canceled for that kind of a number. Second season, it didn't get over 6.5 until about the last 3 episodes. Probably because when they knew it was getting canceled, people started probably tuning in.
Thanks, dicks.
Yeah.
And we'll get into it next episode. There's a lot to smile about from season 2. Not as much as season 1, but again, you have your core cast and they're together, and that's always fun to see. And you don't get that with every show. You know, it's like the original Ghostbusters. People say that Ghostbusters 2 isn't a good movie. I disagree, because it has the original 4 Ghostbusters in it. Season 2 may not be as action-packed or grandiose as season 1 was, but you still have that core trilogy of characters that are just fun as shit and do the most amazing things. And speaking of amazing things, I also think it's worth noting that the fight scenes are not just edited well, they are actually extremely well choreographed. And there's a lot of times where you could tell Mark was getting the shit beat out of him by stuntmen. And I felt really bad. Not because he wasn't doing things right, but it's because Christopher was supposed to be getting his ass beat. And he wasn't using a stuntman. He wanted to get in there and make sure he was doing it himself. And it looked cool. Really shitty for Christopher, but it looked cool.
Well, yeah, it all comes down to what he was willing to probably do. And he was willing to get physical in the role. He looked in phenomenal shape. So, and he fit the role very well. I felt like he was on par with like any sort of like full on movie centered actor. That's why I feel like this easily could have been a set of movies. And I'm glad to see what we got out of at least season 1. Absolutely a show to be completely proud of. Excellent writing, yada, yada, yada. We're already covering all that, but just straight up Mark was just so involved. It looked like he was having the time of his life and willing to put in the effort and go the extra mile to try and make this the best he absolutely could. If that meant he had to roll with the punches with the stunt guys and the fight choreographers and put in extra time doing that, looked like he was all on board for it. So kudos to Mark Valley.
Kinda, yeah. And it was funny because when this came out, the last time I'd seen him, I think, was in the pilot to Fringe. And he was a pretty villainous dude. Like, he starts out likable, but he turns out to be really villainous. So I wasn't sure how this was going to go. And Christopher, like, Mark makes him just like the most charismatic dude throughout the entire show, to the point where it's like, yeah, he's not interested in money necessarily. He's just, they go to help people and they get paid in certain ways. Sometimes it's a $900 bottle of Japanese not whiskey.
I'll take the whiskey.
Yeah, other times it's somebody's wedding ring, so they become free and not stuck to their murderous husband.
Or it could be a wristwatch if you're talking about his big rival.
Baptiste. That's
by Lenny James from Walking Dead fame, everybody.
Yeah, that
he's had other great roles. I'm just saying that's the most current one people might know about. Is he was in The Walking Dead, and I'm pretty sure he's getting his own Walking Dead spinoff right now.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, he did Walking Dead, then Fear the Walking Dead, and I think he's in. I'm not even following anymore, but I'm pretty sure he's getting his own show, probably with a couple of the other characters, like World Beyond or something. I don't know. I mean, Rick and Michonne are getting their own show, and then there's the one with Norman
Reedus and Carol.
Norman's got his own show, Daryl Dixon, and then there's the one with Glenn's wife and
Negan,
and the guy with a baseball bat, Negan.
Yeah. The comedian.
Like, I can't keep track of it because I stopped watching years ago.
I was never interested in it, and shows like that are the reason why we don't see shows like this anymore.
That's how it's going to cycle back to this show. Is
Like shows like that depend upon not so much the quality of their ratings or the quality of the story for the ratings. It's how many people tune in to see who's going to die next. That fucking sucks. Like, you get all the emotional investment, and then the people that you like the most die. And not only that, is the character that you, or the actor that you liked playing that character, is now unemployed. Sure, they may get to go on the con circuit contractually for a couple of years, but that does cost them a little bit of time and money as well.
Yeah, and they can have some sort of claim to fame even after that. But for the most part, the main problem with those shows is once you start killing off characters that everybody loves, it has a, what is it called? Diminishing returns. It just doesn't work out the best. And I remember when they killed Glenn on the Walking Dead show. I know it's in the comic books, but at that point, I know a lot of people were like, it's not so much that they killed Glenn, it's how graphic they showed it on television. And a lot of people felt they did him dirty. Stephen Yeun is a great actor. Love seeing him in like the movie Mayhem and a bunch of other things that he's doing. And he checked the fuck out of the Thunderbolts movie of Marvel. Kudos to you, bro. You got out of Dodge. But, there's something to be said about once you start giving that expectation of somebody important's going to die this year, eventually you're going to run out of characters that people give a shit about. And all you have are these D-list characters. That's not a knock on the actors, but now they're knocking off Cousin A and Cousin B just so you still have at least one lead from the original show that's still carrying on the torch. It's like, come on, you cannot build a show around killing people. It worked for Game of Thrones to a point. You cannot do 12 seasons of that on a show like The Walking Dead. You just can't.
No,
that's why people gave up on it and why ratings aren't there anymore.
I guess, and like the whole zombie craze can't last for 20 fucking years. It just can't. Like,
it'll tap out at some point. Hey, I called the streaming bubble bursting 5 years ago. Nobody wanted to listen to me then. Same thing's going to happen with all these Walking Dead shows in AMC. In the next 5 years, they're probably all gone.
More than likely, because of how much they'll end up costing Disney and shit.
Well, if Disney's still around.
Yeah, that too.
They ain't dying. I'm just saying they're going to get hurt.
Oh, sure, but it's all planned. They're taking their losses on purpose so they can get tax returns.
If they're legal tax returns.
Yeah. But this show doesn't rely on any of that. This show relies on character development and
yes,
storytelling and good acting. And that's not to say that there are any bad actors on The Walking Dead. I don't think that there are.
No, they're all fantastic. I love Andrew Lincoln. Like, he's Rick. He's fantastic. I even love the dude who plays Negan. He's like Sam and Dean's dad on Supernatural. And I think he's a really great actor. I think honestly, I'd put him in a fucking season 3 of Human Target or a Human Target movie with this cast. I think he'd be fucking-tastic.
Oh, sure. I honestly would give just about anything to see a movie again with this cast, or to see this cast reunite just for a shits and giggles Q&A type thing. Even I think would be the most swell thing because of how much fun they were. Kind of like hearing any of the Q&As from Twitter, or not Twitter. Trimmers. Listening to those Q&As are a lot of fun, and I would imagine this would be the same way.
Oh, I think so too. And I wouldn't see that the cast wouldn't be possibly interested, as long as they were taken care of. Like, of course, you got to pay them something.
Of course.
I wouldn't see them not trying to. Hell, if you can put out a season 2 on DVD for everybody or Blu-ray, sure, some of them would be happy to talk about interviews, good, bad, or ugly. You can still put your stupid little disclaimer on. The views represented within this DVD do not represent the views of Warner Brothers and 20th Century Fox. Well, they probably go around talking about, yeah, Matt Miller became the showrunner. And no, not the comic book Matt Miller. I was actually, it's the creator from Chuck who ended up taking over in season 2. But I want to go back through on my season 1 set because I believe there's some like commentary stuff on here.
I can't say an unkind word about Chuck. I really liked that show. At least the first 3 seasons that I watched.
Okay, I'll take your word for it. But yeah, there's some commentaries on here. So I'm curious to check those out after we're done. But I got through the show and I like, I want to know more about this and talk about this. As evidenced by me still talking with a bit of a strained voice. So thank you everybody for putting up with it. This isn't normal. I went to a wrestling show last night and there my voice went, but I'm fine. Everything's fine.
I'm fine.
Evan said I sounded tired before we started recording, and I'm like, I ain't tired. I'm going to bring the energy. So if it sounds like I'm tired, it's just my voice giving out a little.
It'll be Sunday.
Only if I would have felt like you guys can't hear my ass. Or I couldn't lean into straining it to do some voices because I don't normally hit notes like that.
It just makes me think of that episode of Beavis and Butthead where they were watching the Truckosaurus commercial and Beavis starts doing the Sunday, and he's like, you sound like a blankety blank when you say that, and then Butthead's trying to impersonate Beavis going Sunday.
Sunday. The sales are flying and we got so much more, but wait, there's even more. There's Human Target Season 2 coming to Blu-ray and DVD and 4K. April 1st, 2024 for $99.95. But wait, there's even more. It's going to be in standard def quality. No digital code, so fuck off.
No digital code. I don't know. Like, this DVD set is great. I will never say an unkind word about it, but it did make me kind of appreciate Blu-ray in certain areas and 4K even more.
Well, I hate to cut you off real quick. I did research on the Blu-ray. The DVD set actually has a better picture quality going on with it because with the Blu-ray, they crammed 12 episodes on 2 discs. Should have been split across 3. The DVD is across 3 and it contains the extras. Honestly, the picture quality is a little bit better. So, and anybody listening in, we have affiliate links in our description below. We are kind of bad about bringing this up, but go to our affiliate link down below. If you order this set, Amazon will kick us a few cents. It helps keeps the light on. Or if you're just shopping or you want to pick something else up at the same time, please go to our description and click on the link below, copy and paste it. It'll take you right to that DVD set. Highly recommend it. Looked great. I put this on my 4K player and it upscaled it just fine to 4K. It looked great. I would be honest with you, if I thought like DVD being upscaled on a 4K player, if it would look like shit, it looked great. I wouldn't even worry about it. I totally recommend it regardless. But watch out for that Blu-ray set. The picture quality is not that great, but if you're all about Blu-ray, still get this show. You want this in your collection.
Yeah, you really do. And I'm pretty much done hoping that season 2 will eventually show itself someday. It's been 10 years. It's not going to happen.
Well, if I understand right, since this is a Warner Brothers show, I don't know why it's not out, but Warner Brothers does not really license out their TV shows to boutiques because they are still holding on to one of my favorite fucking shows in Brimstone that's been sitting in a vault since 1999. Should have been out on DVD back then. This is another show where it's like, for whatever fucking reason, they don't want to put out season 2 on any sort of format, even streaming. I don't understand. Whether you like it or don't like it, the accessibility on not having a season 2 around is bullshit.
Yeah, kinda. And I don't know, like, if the actors should get residuals for shit like that. Like,
They should.
you would think so. I don't know. Because again, for as much as people could say it wasn't that good, and we'll get into that next episode.
Yeah.
It's still greatly enjoyable. I personally love the whole series. It's not just this season. It's not that season. The whole series is fun. It's stupid that it got canceled. It's flabbergasting. Like, I still don't understand 10 years later. And not many shows have come around like this since then. Everything's like NCIS or CSI, Hawaii
Yeah.
5-0, and they're all the same type of shows, but they didn't have this didn't have an edge. It had a level of comedy and action to it. It had suspense without being terrified, I guess. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, you knew Chance wasn't going to fly off of the train, but but you knew he was about to jump off the fucking train. You didn't know how he was going to do it, but you knew something great was going to happen at that time.
Yeah. I mean, the show did everything very well. It's kind of a last of a dying breed to some extent, but I'm pretty pleased with the show, and it's got a lot to be proud of. I just wish there was more shows like that these days. Yes, there's still spy shows. There's a Jack Reacher show on Amazon, and I'm hearing that that's pretty good. There's the Ryan movies, like Patriot Games.
Oh yeah.
Krasinski's the star of that show, of the Jack Ryan TV show.
Oh, is he?
Yeah. The first
That's
season
cool.
was pretty good. After that, it got a little weird for me and my wife, but
Oh.
most of these shows, they kind of fizzle out. It's like they don't really have the grit like they used to, like, say, with their show. It's just too bad. I think something like this would absolutely succeed today. It just needs to be on a place that's willing to commit to it. And I don't know. I'm at a point where I think these shows should be given a real commitment. Like, don't just do 13 episodes and be like, yeah, we're going to renew you for season 2, but we're going to make changes. If you're going to do that, stick with the main creative staff. I know we'll get into season 2 next week, but it just goes to my point of, if you're willing to give a show one season, it would make sense to me. You want to try and promote it as well as you could, really put it out there. I know the promotion was there for this show to start for season 1. I don't know if it carried all the way through, but I'd love to see, I don't know, more of an effort beyond just, hey, let's just throw money out there and see what advertising works. Like, there's better ways to promote your show. There's better ways to keep it off of Friday fucking nights again. There's better ways to construct things and set things up to succeed. When you just drop it on some fucking Friday night, do you really have faith in that show? I'm just saying, like, I like to see a little more of a concerted effort. You don't have to cater to every whim of everybody out there, but if you're gonna go for a show like this, pick the best night it might succeed on, because just look at the competition. If you put it on Tuesday, what the hell else is on a Tuesday for 13 weeks? Just plan ahead a little bit better. Just saying.
Yeah, that's true. And they try to fill that shit in with reality shows that cost absolutely nothing. Again, this is so much more entertaining. This is fun to watch. I like this more than I like sitcoms. That's for certain. I like it more than most cop shows. Is this a cop show? There's a retired cop. Cops get shot at quite frequently, but no, it's not really a cop show. I don't know. I think this could survive. Yes. Could it survive at Fox still? I don't know. I honestly don't.
Yeah, I don't know.
And I don't
I
know
mean,
that.
yeah.
This might have to be a Max kind of thing.
I could actually see that if they had stuck with that DC streaming service with Swamp Thing, you could have found a nice corner for this show and any like ancillary comics that would maybe work well with it. I don't know. I do think there's a place for a show like this today, and it's just sad to see that it's not on TV. But I'm pretty happy with the DVD. I just wish there was a little bit of a better home for it out there, even if it was like Warner. Reach out to Netflix for fuck's sake. You're letting them license most of your shit anyway. I'm just saying, you can open up the vault. You could have them put that out there. You'll get more eyes on this. Like, there's got to be a better way than just, hey, stash it in the vault and fucking forget about it.
Yeah. And they were doing that even before Disney bought Fox. So
that was a bad fucking idea too, but whatever.
Look at all this cheap shit we bought.
Yes, we're gonna co-op the X-Men and make that save our current Marvel franchises that are dying. That's not gonna work.
They needed to kill them first, and then they need to bring in the X-Men. That's what they're doing. They're killing everything first. The Avengers are gone. The interest to see the new Avengers is non-existent.
Young Avengers, Kevin. Young Avengers.
Young Avengers or Avengers Next, whatever you want to call them. The Thunderbolts. I don't really think people are going to be like banging down to the door to see that. Maybe for the Red Guardian, I guess, but I don't see that. Golly, yeah, no, I don't. They're farting around. They need to get on the Fantastic Four. They need to get on the X-Men. Deadpool 3 needs to come out this week. Or this year.
This week.
This goddamn week. Because Kevin said so.
Very true. Kevin, I'm going to challenge you. Do you have a six-pack?
Oh, man, I do. I do have a six-pack, but I almost drank one and kept it at 5. Golly, this is going to sound really bad when I say it this way. There are a lot of filler episodes in this show. And that sounds bad because like there's no story, but that's not the case. Each episode is a pretty riveting story. And there are X amount of episodes that kind of have sprinkles of Chance's long-term story for the season. But they were sparse, like 6 at best, and I had to reach. So I started with the pilot because, of course, that's where we first meet Christopher Chance. We first meet Winston. We get a little bit of introduction to their business as far as private security. And we get a little introduction to Guerrero and a hint that he was a hitman. After that, I skip ahead to episode 3, which was Embassy Row. Where we first see Emma from the FBI. She'll return later on, and she's the only one that I think Chance has like really good chemistry with as far as long-term over the season. It's not Catherine.
Right. I agree with that. That's actually part of my list too.
Yeah.
Like Emmanuel Vagier. Fantastic.
She was awesome. I liked her character. She kicks his ass when he drops in on her during a date. And the date's like, should I go?
But which date was it, Kevin?
Oh God, I can't remember the guy's name. Like he was trying to find wine or some shit, and she's got Chance straddled and handcuffed.
Well, and Chance makes a comment about which date was this.
Oh.
And he's like, I'm betting date 3 because of the black bra you were wearing.
Yeah, she's like, by the way.
Yeah, it was so fucking funny. They had great chemistry together.
It was the first date. And that was just as good as her statement the first time you see her, where she's like, and if I was a prostitute, I'd be a hell of a lot more than $40.
Yeah.
A $40 prostitute at a high-end fucking like state ceremony. She was fantastic. I liked her. And then we get to see a little bit more a glimpse at Winston and Chance's relationship regarding honesty and transparency. And what I mean about that is Chance is a professional liar. He cannot lie to Winston anymore. He did that once, and I don't think it'll ever happen again or successfully. He lies to Winston all the time, but Winston's smart enough to smell his bullshit. If not immediately, eventually.
Yeah. Oh, well, Winston puts up with it to a point.
Yeah, there was one episode where, and don't turn the channel again, kids, Chance literally gets the yips, and they say it exactly like that. And you're not sure why until the end, and it's because he's afraid that Winston could get hurt being associated with him. You're just kind of like, no. But that does go to the fact that they have a very sincere friendship, and Winston has a very sincere love for Chance. And Chance sees him as the conscience, so he lies quite often.
Well, and it all ties into the last episode too, where you see how they first meet and they bond over basically having second thoughts about their career choices and things that are happening with them personally and professionally.
Yeah, because outside of what they do for a living, they had the very same gripes about their jobs.
Yeah.
And just thought, if only I can get out and do something different. And then Winston was the person who says, why don't we? I just quit my job. Let's fucking do this.
Yep. Let's fucking go.
Yeah, and it was really awesome. And then from there, I jumped up to episode 4, Sanctuary. And there was only really like 2 things that made that part of the story. Otherwise, it is something of a filler episode, but it's a great filler episode for me. Jimmy Olsen is in that, Sam Huntington. And there's this great scene where he's hiding with these monks, and they're in the library, and he's explaining Crisis on Infinite Earths, the comic book series from the 1980s, where they had all the different various types of Supermans, Flash, Wonder Womans, and they merged them into one. And he's explaining how Flash, in order to make all that happen, has to sacrifice himself and gives himself to the greater good to cause humanity to flourish once again. And then he comes back to life years later. And the monks are just sitting there looking at him, and he's like, so he's like Jesus. And you're like, oh my God, they just compared Jesus to Barry Allen.
I'm like, that was the better explanation of the multiverse that I've ever seen.
Yes, it was. And that was the briefest and most interesting version of Crisis I've ever seen as well.
Yeah, they cliff noted the fuck out of that stuff.
Yeah, but he was such a good character. I love Sam, and Winston wanting to help him simply because he was a guy that did bad shit, and he wanted to repent and make things better. Winston's like, okay, that's all you needed to say. And that's another one of those things where Winston and Chance are very similar, where it's like, it's not about the money, it's about what they can do to help. And in this particular case, it's Winston can give a kid another chance at having a good life with a good woman. Chance will do things simply because he gets to go on a train that rides 200 miles an hour. And he's a giant child and thinks it's cool.
What are you afraid of?
Dying?
It's not gonna happen. Come on, this will be fun.
And after that, I skip ahead to Lockdown, episode 6, where we're introduced to Layla. We get a little bit of insight into Guerrero's personality type, that he's very much Mr. Hyde. He has no empathy for most other people. His job is just that. It's just a job. There's nothing personal about it. But he fears being incarcerated beyond all things. Like, he has this panic attack about being arrested and thrown in a prison cell. He doesn't like it. He won't have it. He'll kill all the cops before they arrest him. Oh, and that's also, with Sanctuary was where we think we're seeing Guerrero spy on Chance and Winston. But what he's actually doing is he's trying to find out who is wanting to find out where Chance is, what he's doing, and everything else. That was a good episode for him. Lockdown, the other great part of that episode is that was an episode that Mitch Pileggi was cameoing on and was pretty much the main character. And Mitch Pileggi can play the most awesome hero in a TV show or the scariest motherfucker that you've ever seen, like Horace Pinker. And he was very much that. He was like a Pinkerton, for lack of a better term, who takes things into his own hands when things get so bad in this secured building that Chance is just destroying left and right. And he gets into this fun CQC fight, close quarters combat, with Chance, thinking that, his skills are going to destroy Chance. And Chance just fucking kills him instantly.
Wipes the floor with him.
Yeah, but it was so good to see Mr. Pileggi. I've met him twice, I think. And he is like the world's nicest man. So it's like really strange to see him being this savage, evil person. But it's always such a treat to see him. He is one of those actors where, well, actually, pretty much just about everybody that's in the show is one of the type of actors where you're see him in a movie. You're excited to see Jackie in a movie. You're excited to see Chi or Mark. You're excited to see Sam Huntington in a movie. Like I said last week with Dylan Dog. Fucking awesome. Go see that one also, kids. So, skipping ahead, we also find out that the old man is alerted to Chance's location, and that is who is no, I'm sorry, that's not who is trying to get Chance's location. That was the people that hired the old man to kill Catherine, I think. And that in itself got a little convoluted. But I guess we'll talk about that in a minute. Next is episode 8, Baptiste. We get more introduction to Baptiste himself. We get backstory to Chance, knowing that he trained Baptiste himself personally, and that's why he's so savage. He has all of Chance's skills, but none of his conscience and morality. We see Emma returning with a really playful wrestling scene in front of her date. And we see the return of Layla from episode 6. She was a computer specialist that worked for Pileggi. They brought her back to see if she would test well. Unfortunately, apparently she didn't, and they didn't bring her back at all.
I liked her.
Yeah, that is really too bad because she was a fun character. And at the end of that episode, it's like she's wanting to like high five Guerrero, and Guerrero is like, nothing is ever as it seems. Like, if we won, it's because someone wants us to think we did. And he just like walks out. And she's left with this like, oh, well, type look on her face. But then you never see her again. One of the few gripes about this show is there are loose ends like that.
Now, that's something I would think that somewhere down the road, if they needed somebody to slot in, you could always go back to her and bring her in for a one-off episode. Like if something's going on with Guerrero, you could always just go back and be like, hey, we need somebody. We do know somebody. We can just tap into that.
Yeah, I mean, that's how they got Felicity on Arrow. She was just a one-time character that tested really, really well.
Mm-hmm.
And they kept bringing her back. So, yeah. I 0 it again. Last, it ends at Christopher Chance, episode 12, where everything happens like at the last minute. And that's kind of an unfortunate thing because there's a lot of exposition. There's a lot of current story that happens. And then it just kind of ends at your Empire Strikes Back ending, which is not a bad ending. It was a cliffhanger. It makes you want to hurry up throughout the next 9 weeks or whatever it is to the next season. But do not get your hopes up that you're going to get the explosive, action-packed conclusion that you're thinking you're going to get after watching the finale. And that was all I had. But when I said it was 5, I want to say I threw in 6. Just because that's where you see a little bit of backstory to Guerrero and the mention of the old man. Otherwise, like it was really just 5 episodes that really focused on who Christopher was, who the old man is, that someone was after him, that he was a bad person now doing good things.
And know what happened to Catherine, just that, and that's where the filler episodes come into play. It helps to pace everything out so you're not getting like everything like one episode after another. And then if you get used to that for a whole season, you end up wanting that in season 2 and you don't get that. So you kind of have to figure out your pacing of your plot like that. And this was still at a time when shows had a little more breathing room with that. You don't just, or they would have given them only like 7 episodes for an order, and it's got to be all story the whole time. No room to breathe or allow things to breathe.
Yeah. And when that happens, there's very little room for growth as well.
Exactly.
Or if something changes, that's exactly what it is. It's not growth, it's just change. And there are points in the series where, like Layla, they throw stuff at the wall to see if it'll stick, and they don't come back to it. For me, the biggest issue of that, or example of that, wasn't Layla per se. It was in the pilot episode where Guerrero goes to ask some mafioso some information for Chance, and the guy burns him really bad. And Guerrero stops on the way out and says, "What did you just say?" And the guy basically tells him, "Do I need to write it out for you or what? You deaf?" And Jackie goes, "No, I heard you." And he leaves. For me personally, I would have loved to have seen Guerrero just like shit on that guy by the end of the episode, like let you forget about it until the very end, and then have that guy like turn on the lights and Guerrero's waiting for him for whatever he said.
Yeah.
That would have been awesome.
Okay, 6-pack challenge. Most of these are going to be very familiar and very similar to Kevin's. I'm pretty sure they're all the same. I'll just go over some of my quick notes. But of course, starting with the pilot, I like how it's set on a train. It's got Trisha Helfer in it from Battlestar Galactica. So I was pretty excited about that. And it with Danny Glover having a fun cameo, with doing the Molotov cocktail. Fucking fantastic. And then roll right into Embassy Row. What I liked about this one is like the friends and family discount was kind of a theme of this one, and Emmanuel Vagier had great chemistry, and just spies being spies in this episode was just so much fun to watch. Everybody trying to figure everything out and who's working for which side and who's really going after what. I just thought that was a really fun episode. Going into episode 4 was Sanctuary. What I liked about this one is Guerrero is a sneaky fuck. And he let's see, shoot. So Guerrero's a sneaky fuck, and he shoot the guy he was trying to do the deal with because he wouldn't give him the information he wanted. So he just straight up shot the asshole. And in that moment, I'm like, I think I like this Guerrero guy because he's playing a different game than what the other guy, the information broker, was playing. And it's like, no, you ain't getting away with this. Guerrero's a little too smart for you dumbasses.
He is such a different animal. Like, we can go on an entire episode just about him.
Right. And I appreciate the fact they called him an animal in the first episode. And by the end of it, you're like, he's not really like an animal. He's got the slow build animal storyline going through this first season. Because by like episode 4, you're like, we're getting a little more and more about him as well. And he's just as vicious, if not a little more devious than Christopher is. He's a little more willing to get down and dirty with some of these fuckers. And like in another episode, he's getting all chained up. I think it's in that computer episode. And they're trying to do the good cop, bad prisoner routine. And Guerrero's just not having it. He doesn't want to go to prison. And he keeps saying, like, let me do this my way. We'll make this'll work. Let me do this my way. It'll work. And poor Winston's just standing there like, no, let's do it my way. I'm not going to let you go to prison. Yada, yada, yada. Ultimately, Guerrero's way was the way to make it work. And in a later episode, when he's arguing about which GPS to use, which I think is the final episode, Christopher Chance. He's like, no, I'm a New Yorker. Go down 2nd Street and hook right. And Winston's just sitting there going, unless the lady on the GPS says so, I am not doing anything you tell me to do. And then in the end, when they're in the ambulance and trying to go meet up with everybody, and the poor Tony EMT tells him, oh, yeah, and there's a GPS located on the dash. You just got to punch in the address. It'll tell you how to get there. The second he sits down, he's like, thanks. He grabs the GPS and chucks it out the window, and he just takes off. It's like, he knows where the fuck he's going. So he's low-key like the smartest guy in this show for the whole time, and fantastic character. But I really liked where episode 4 kind of highlighted how sneaky he is and how you can't really trust him, but maybe you can, because up until that point of shooting the guy in the very end of the episode made you wonder, what is this guy up to? Is he going to be turning on Chance at some point? He never really does, at least for the context of this first season, not knowing what happens in the second.
Yeah, it's kind of like Jane, where
Yes.
Mal is comfortable or confident that Jane is not going to shoot him in the back for double the pay, or 25 cents extra for whatever the pay was.
Yeah.
And Winston isn't sure that Guerrero won't screw them over for double the price, because that does happen to them from somebody in this season during the not kickboxing, the MMA fights.
Yeah.
They got screwed for double the price, which was their plan in general, but still, my brain farted.
Okay. I'm going back to Lockdown with episode 6. Not much else to say that Kevin didn't say, other than I like how Martin got the hot IT girl Layla in the end of the episode. And during a point of this episode, I immediately thought, I like the Die Hard references. This is fun. And I think Mark Valley would make a great judge in a Dredd movie. I don't know which judge. I wouldn't say Judge Dredd, but he has the build. He's got the right facials for it. I think put that man in like if they were ever going to do that Mega City 1 TV show, fucking cast this dude. Even at his age now, he still probably is in fantastic shape enough to put the guy in the outfit, give him the helmet. I think he'd rock it as a judge somewhere in that Dredd universe.
That would be cool as hell, because he does have that square jaw. They even joke about that.
I know. And I'm like, him and Carl Urban fighting each other like he's some crooked ass judge, and give me Dredd 2, you fuckers. We'll get to that in a couple weeks on ZPR, because we're doing Dredd 2012.
Yeah.
And go ahead.
No, you go.
I was just gonna say, Baptiste, love seeing Lenny James. Big time assassin on assassin fight. I love the allegory with the scenes going on behind them of the angel cast down from heaven on the painting behind them while they're sitting in the subway, like of who's fighting what's going on. It just felt like a nice little parallel to each other, and it set up a big tension moment that didn't really get finished at the end, because sorry, Baptiste, you got your ass arrested.
Yeah, but he saw that one cop with the really nice watch.
Yes, he did, and he was totally grinning about that. And well, I liked how when he was getting arrested, like they're basically saying double duty, shotguns on him at all times, like load up, treat him like a federal fucking criminal. And it's like, yeah, he's probably not getting away, but he's probably already thinking of how to escape from his situation.
Yeah, or has like 3 plans possibly laid out already.
Yeah.
And I remembered what I was saying. Guerrero, in the episode that we were just talking about, when you see the fight, when the old man sends him to find out what's going on with Mark, or with Chance and Catherine, they get into it, they fight, and Chance doesn't want to fight him. He doesn't want to hurt him, and he doesn't fight any more than he has to. And that's when Guerrero knows that he could have taken the shot, but didn't. He gets up, And he walks right past Baptiste and says, "You know what? He could have shot me. I got nothing to do with this. I'm out." And you see his loyalty there and his sincerity. And you really wish you would have seen that at the beginning, because that's where you know that Guerrero like naturally has this sense of loyalty to him outside of just that mercenary aspect.
Yeah, I completely agree.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, no, good thought. And then, of course, I'm going to wrap up with the final episode, Christopher Chance. It's a great final episode. You finally get backstory going on with everything going on with the overall story. You finally meet the big boss, or I mean, the old boss. And all I could write down at the very end, because Kevin touched upon some great points with the episode, that I wrote down the same things. I loved Lee Majors being in this episode. I loved seeing the young puppy. That was totally great. It worked for me. Gee, I wonder where John Wick may have gotten the idea of having a little puppy and then letting it grow with him just to replace the void in his life. So I felt like that was really cool. It was a fun, action-packed episode. Other thing I wrote down was Guerrero. Holy shit. I love this guy. And then my final thought on that was an overall thought on the whole show entirely. I literally wrote down, this show is way better than it had any right to be. And I don't know what Fox was thinking with canceling this show. I really don't. And that was the last words I wrote on my sheet of paper.
Yeah, like, why? It wasn't replaced with anything equal or better at all.
Right.
Not at all.
I can't get over how good the show legitimately was. It's like this show could have gone like half speed and still been just as good, but it's clear they went above and beyond to try and make this the best show they possibly could. And I feel like they delivered. I didn't feel like they missed. If anything, casting decision here, little plot point there. I mean, if we were talking about this show episode by episode, like we devoted like an hour to every episode of this first season, we would break down and get nitpicky as shit. We don't need to be. The show is fucking great and it deserves to be in everybody's collection. And if you like your spy stuff, you like your assassin stuff, this show is right up your alley. Don't waste time. Go get it. Amazon affiliate link below. Let's fucking go.
Yeah, and it's not gross, but it is explosive, and it is balls to the wall from start to finish. Like, again, your pilot episode involves a 200-mile-an-hour train gonna derail. Totally awesome. There are count them, two Fulton extractions in this series. Or I'm sorry, just in the first season. He parachutes out of the fucking train, and then he gets picked up by a fucking plane via Fulton. How would you describe that? Basically, he stands on a net, and a plane flies and grabs a balloon that's got a rope tied to this net. And
it does the Batman 1989 movie thing, but with something on the ground rather than clipping cables with balloons attached to them.
Yeah, so it snaps him in half.
Yeah. But no, it's like a little snatch and grab is kind of what that is. And it seems like something straight out of a freaking video game or a comic book. It's not something you would think of in a TV show or a movie, because I've never seen that in a TV show or a movie otherwise.
Snake Eater, baby. Metal Gear Solid 3.
There you go.
That's how I know what it's called.
Well, and I like that episode too because of his old flame, and he gave her the map location for where to find all the gold bullion if she still wanted to. Just not a penny more than 5 million or whatever it was.
Yeah, right. And that was cool because you're not sure if she's just going to be the rebel, the rebel leader, or if she's going to be another mercenary type person. Like, everybody else wants this gold. Like, screw the cause. I got $5 million. Deuces, bitches.
She was fun. I really liked her. I got like Raiders of the Ark vibes throughout that show.
Yes. Yeah. You know, on that note, they gave a lot of ladies opportunities to work with Mark to see who worked and who didn't. Not Ames. Layla is supposed to be paired up with Guerrero. That didn't work out. And Emma, I wish they would have brought her back a third time, and I don't think that they do, because she, I think, was the best person, or was the person that had the best chemistry with Mark, I think, on screen.
Yeah, outside of the lady who played Catherine, I would agree.
Yeah, because otherwise, like, none of the other ladies were all that interesting. Of course, they're romantically enticed with him because Christopher is like the embodiment of charisma, like you were saying on the show last week, The Pretenders. He could be anybody.
Pretty much. All right, Kevin, you got some social media before we sign off?
We do this week. We got a couple here. The first one comes from the world's okayest lover. Says, I was an extra. I dig that myself. Says, I was an extra on a few of the episodes, one of the few shows that I've worked on that I actually watched. So I'm going to get the response to the question that I asked in reply, and I'll have it next week. What I want to know is, well, first of all, that's fucking awesome and cool.
Dude, that's awesome.
Amazing. But what was it about this show that made you be like, you know what? I want to go back and watch that, as opposed to the other shows that you were part of? Because that really says something. Like, when this project is good enough that you're willing to revisit it several times, as opposed to this, where you're just kind of like, yeah, I did that, whatever.
Yeah, I'll watch it with the grandkids when they're old enough. Like,
yeah, that'd be like us when we're talking about The Office. Like, yeah, we reviewed The Office, but we don't really tell anybody about it.
Great promo for a back episode, Kevin.
We don't really tell anybody about
for
it.
the one person that's probably actually watched or listened to that episode in the last year.
Hey, I like that fucking episode.
we pick on ourselves, everybody. If you're new here, this is what we do.
And then our buddy Bob's listless vessel of deplorable tacos says, "Hacking," with no K. When an actor pretends to hack into a computer system in under 30 seconds. I think the best actor that ever did, or that basically invented hacking, was Burt Ward. Like, nobody could clickety clack on a keyboard like Robin did when Batman told him to go find some like data information on evidence.
That's a good question.
And then we've got Brad Hitton, who said that season 1 finale was such a banger, and they immediately threw it all away in the season 2 opener.
Oh, come on, don't tell me that. Spoiler alert!
They should have kept Steinberg, but they wanted to make it cheaper and reconfigure it.
Oh, fuck.
Now, I just want to assure you that you are not going to be watching War of the Worlds next week. It's much better.
Are you sure about this, Kevin?
Fairly.
Okay, they didn't shoot it like 20 years into the future, and all of a sudden, our poor Mark Valley's rocking a beard that looks horrible on him, right?
No.
Okay.
But I did get to see Richard Chavez last night when I was watching Predator.
Hey, there you go.
And lastly, Philip Baskett says, yes, season 1 of this show is amazing. Season 2, that suffered from what I call Buck Rogers Dodgers, where a series completely gives up on its original plan, recasts, and tosses crap wildly at the cast to see what sticks. What sticks to the landing and what gets dodged. Season 1 had great action stunts, but the second kind of thought that relationship tension was a good substitute for blowing shit up. It had daring conversational action. A little bit, like they without getting into too many spoilers for season 2. Yes, there is a lot more explosions in season 1. And season 1 is pretty damn perfect, with the exception of the minor loose end here and there. Season 1's a perfect TV show to watch.
Cool. Well, I still remain open to seeing season 2 and kind of formulating my own opinion. So
I think you're still gonna like it. Like I really dug it. This was the first show that my wife and I actually started to watch together and really enjoy. Prior to that, I think I tried getting her to watch Family Guy and Drawn Together. She was having none of that. But this she would let me stay up late and stay the night with her to watch.
cool.
And then that is all we had for social media this week.
All right. Thank you for reading our social media, Kevin. Thank you, everybody, for listening and hanging with me while I'm having a hoarse voice. Next time around, I'll be back to full normal. Got our live stream coming up. So we got some fun projects out there. If you're not on our YouTube channel, please do check it out. We got our little outro here at the end, so you'll know where to go to find us. But thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We'll see you next time with Human Target Season 2. We're going to rock your world, Screamers. So let's fucking go.
You can't run from who you are.
You can't run from me.
Make sure you check us out on all of our social media platforms. We got Facebook, Twitter. We are at Suns and Shadows. We're also on Instagram at Suns and Shadows Cast. We are at sunsandshadows.com. Thank you again, everybody, and we'll see you down the road.
Two of you, you need help.